What's up, it's your boy Luke Man, and since I've seen you last, I've been traveling the world touring with the band Warbringer. Played the European festival circuit this summer, and have been playing with the band kind of all year. So I learned a lot about playing rhythm guitar, playing consistent lead guitar even when you're traveling a lot, which that's kind of where you can get caught up in things. That's where you can start to doubt yourself and get dirt on the licks is what I like to call it. It's basically where you know that you mess up a certain part, so you start to fixate on that one part, and in doing so you get more and more dirt on that lead guitar solo. So I want to talk about a couple of tricks, a couple of things that I learned over the summer. By the way, if you want to learn to alternate pick with a lot of zest, there's a link to my course in the description below, so you can check that out. All right, so something that I learned about playing rhythm guitar and riffing is, one, you have to have a overdrive pedal, because one of my good friends explained to me that basically the guitar's signal has to be sculpted before it reaches the preamp. And if you don't do that, what you end up with is too much high end and too much low end, overloading the preamp. And so you end up with this flubby sound or flubby sound, and it doesn't really cut. But when you use a tube screamer or your typical overdrive pedal, then it really tightens up the mids, and you're actually able to get that real attacky, where you can kind of feel each and every note. So that is like the biggest realization that I had. I was fortunate to have really good friends and bandmates to help me understand this. And then also hit harder, like dig in. So the thing is with lead guitar, and still this is my philosophy with lead guitar, because it's just different. You don't need the same amount of aggression to play lead. I've always said that you're never gonna force the guitar to sound good, so good guitar playing should be effortless. A lot of people will tell me, this is kind of like a low-key flex to myself, but a lot of people will tell me like, dude, your playing looks so effortless. And it's like, yes, that's right. It's because I'm putting as little effort into it as possible. It takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of methodical practice to get there, but ultimately that's what you want to accomplish. You want to not be trying to play while you're playing. And that's how you yield the cleanest notes, 100%. Rhythm guitar, however, is different, because as you dig in more, it actually sounds better. And I use 9 to 42 gauge strings down a half step, and a lot of people kind of look at me weird when I tell them that, but it's because I like to do the sick vibrato and stuff. I like to sound like this. All right. Yeah, I like to sound like that. I like to bend the notes quite a bit, and so having really nice flimsy strings is good for that. It actually makes it a lot harder to play fast rhythm guitar. So it's just a nuanced thing, and it's something you got to practice. And I was talking to my buddy, I was talking to him about the Dire Wolf overdrive pedal, because my band was still dissatisfied with my tone. after a long time, after you know, half a year or so, after 60 or 70 shows, something like that, playing with them. And you know, I was really trying to get the bottom of how am I supposed to make my riffs sound more riffy. Yeah, and even doing that tremolo picking stuff, that's a whole nother thing as well. That's been something I'm developing and trying to get better at, and it's still very difficult. Anyhow, very difficult stuff for me to play, very unnatural things for me to play. But yeah, the point being, I had that conversation. I was hung up on gear. I thought it was this pedal. And my good friend Chase on bass, he looked at me and he said, dude, there's nothing, not a piece of gear in the world, not a pedal in the world that's going to change your right hand. And I was like mid-sentence and I stopped. And he kind of looked at me for a while and he said, sorry, I guess I shut that conversation down. Or I stopped that conversation. And it was funny. We were both like sleep deprived. We were traveling, probably coming home from Portugal or going from Portugal to Germany or something like that. And it totally sucked that he said that. But at the same time, it was exactly what I needed to hear, because next thing you know, I'm really chugging into these strings. I'm really digging in, and I'm noticing that the tone has more bass, it has more bottom end, and it has more fullness. And it's amazing how that works. And your gear is huge. You know, I will say that the Mesa cabinets seem to be the best rig ever for my tone. I will say that the EVH 5153s seem to be the best heads for my tone. And I really like this precision drive by Horizon Devices for the overdrive. I think that works really well. And of course the Jackson guitars. And I use bare knuckle pickups and Seymour Duncan pickups, and they're both really awesome. And when I combine all that together, yeah, it's pretty cool. I was actually getting a lot of compliments on my tone, which was cool. But it is so nice to stand on stage and be able to hear yourself and put into some of these really percussive riffs a lot of pressure, basically, a lot of digging in. And the difference is this. Anyhow, that was the biggest lesson I learned. I play a lot. I'm playing through the set before we play our set, and I'm really not trying to play my lead guitar stuff too much because I know that I pretty much know how that stuff goes down. And so if I really try to fixate on it, it usually does more damage than good. So it's finding that nice medium of practicing plenty but not too much. You got to keep in mind that when you do this every single day, you're putting abuse, you're putting fatigue onto your system, you know. So you gotta keep that rally car nice and tuned. The proverbial rally car being your body. If you like my playing, you want to learn more from me, I have that cool course in the description below. You can check that out. And if you want to see us live, I'm pretty sure Warbringer's coming to Mexico next. So yeah, still got dates. And then next year is going to be really cool too. A lot of stuff not announced yet, but I'll see you out there. Peace.